Welcome to another new moon reading. This one's, of course, connected to a blog and connected to a series of readings about lunar, Vedic, and tropical yoga, and astrology, which is what I meant to say. Sorry. Yoga is just on my mind right now. Hopefully, there will be another edition of the Astro Yoga. This one keeps coming up for me. Edition of Astrosomatics to help us move from head to toe, because the new moon is occurring in Vedic Pisces, symbol of the feet, tropical Aries, who symbolizes the head, the cranium. And this balsamic and new moon period, where the dark moon in the sky heralds this effort of consciousness to overcome the inertia of the past, and this cosmic evolution of the solar idea, because new moons are conjunctions of the sun and the moon, to move humanity out of suffering. Liberation, right? And that's what we're after, is lifting the veil of ignorance. And so it's appropriate for us at times like this, when we're intention setting and we're thinking about moving forward into the next 30-day cycle, because it's new moon to new moon. That's the full cycle. The full moon is the apex of the cycle, and that's why you get all that screaming energy, because it's a culmination point, but it's the middle of the cycle. So we need to remember that new moons set off the cycle of 30 days, and the lunar calendar reflects this, right? Which is why we observe both sidereal and tropical. We use all the oracles. It's a both and universe, and we are inclusive. And speaking of inclusive, the astrology of this moment is super inclusive. There's just a ton going on this week. And I bet you can feel it, that expectant energy. But, you know, in both charts, both the sidereal and the Vedic, or both the sidereal and the tropical chart, this Venus-Rahu conjunction is all about control. And these edifices of control that are moving in our world right now. Pluto changing sign, Mars changing sign, while for the longest period, this Mars-Sun square is going to continue. For today, it's also involving the moon, but this square of the sun and Mars is intense energy, and you can feel it. It's one of those things that you need to kind of exercise your way through and move your way through. This is the new year, the full moon or the new moon of the new year for most Eastern traditions that follow a sidereal or a lunar calendar. And the movement of the outer planets don't affect them as much, but the moon is on the 23rd, will be going through what's called a Gandanta point, and that is Revati Nakshatra. The movement between, the moon will pass between Pisces and Aries. So the very thing that our form of investigation is looking at is also represented in the old calendar. And the head to toe revitalization, moving through this Gandanta point, which means karmic knot. It's a deep place inside yourself, and therefore inside all things in the world, that needs transformation. So we're going to do a pathway spread, as we usually do at the new moons, to discover the limits and the purpose of the cycle. This is an old druidic spread for just basic overall pathway. How do we move forward within the next 30 days of this lunar cycle? Approximately 30 days, like 29 and a half. And at the same time, the Hindu festival of Navratri, the 9 nights of the goddess, which celebrates the triumph of dharma over adharma, purpose over chaos, essentially, and is represented by the 9 avatars of the goddess Durga, commences with the celebration tonight of Parvati's incarnation, Parvati being Shiva's wife, Shiva and Shakti being harmonious and balanced energies in the world. Her avatar is named Shalputri, and she is the one whose dad didn't like the guy she married, and so she burned herself on the funeral or on the yagya pyre, which is like a sacrificial pyre that you have at parties in the Hindu tradition if you're a god, right? But because she was a god, she wasn't allowed to die. The balance, the harmony had to be preserved. So there's the solstice, right? The balance of the light and the dark. And she is the mountain, the daughter of the mountain, the daughter of nature, and her love of Shiva, the natural god of creation and destruction, was distasteful to her father. She sacrificed herself for love of him out of devotion, and was reborn as his wife in many other incarnations. It's an interesting and telling story. And while we're moving from this, this week where 4 planets are going to change signs in the tropical system, we're talking about power, we're talking about control, and the control we have over our own lives. The first card is the inertia of the past, the thing that we're trying to overcome in this spread. And that card is Crow. This is a shadow energy, and it's perfect for what we were just talking about, especially the Gandanta knot. We're looking into the places we got hurt, right? And how we sustained injury, and how reaction to that injury through the trauma is a part of our everyday lives. And also how we can move on from that and honor our ancestry, the bodies they gave us, the love that supports us in every moment needs to be honored as we move through these difficulties. Keywords being moved through, and with respect and love. So the past here is represented by the shadow energy of Crow. Also Saturn's card in this deck, right? Put that somewhere where you can see it. There we go. The second card in the pathway spread is the present moment. And that card is Moose. This is the card of self-esteem. It's a little tricky to have right now. This big, gangly character, if you've ever seen one in the wild, they are 11 feet tall. These are big, big animals. And they are territorial. I live in the Great North Woods, and I know a lot of people are afraid of bears. Bears really want to avoid you, but if you stumble into a moose's territory, they have territory, right? You're not supposed to be in it. And it's that kind of, I feel myself, I feel my right to be here. I believe myself. I trust myself. I protect myself. That kind of self-esteem is what I get from this card. And in this present moment, that's something to be in conversation with yourself about. Do you feel, Pisces, as if you're in danger? There are many groups, many beautiful minorities, the change bringers, the ones that impel the freedom on this planet, who are not safe at this moment, physically unsafe. Are you connected to your body enough to feel whether you're safe or not safe? Do you know what's encroaching on your territory? How do you know what you know? What's possible for you in the way of self-esteem and self-protection? So the present moment is about where you stand with regard to your self-esteem. 24 and 11 so far. The future card, the third card, is Beaver, building. Now that's a hopeful thing. Your self-esteem can't be too misplaced if you're able to build upon it. And since its number is 22 and Moose's number is 11, let's call that doubling a kind of positive indicator. That if you build from your self-esteem, find places and communities of safety, and are able to build constructively, positively, having dealt with the shadows in those areas, right? And the shadows within yourself. It's possible to move forward in a constructive and truly productive way. Maybe we haven't ever had that before in our culture and in this timeline, right? We haven't. We've been caged. But when you're given the raw materials and you're freed from your past and you're moving into your self-esteem, safety comes from within, and then you can build an edifice without to protect it. But you have to be safe in yourself first, with whatever comes through that door, in order to be able to build onto it. Beautiful cards for the past, present, and future of our current pathway. The lessons moving through right now are porcupine. That's good to see. The lessons of innocence. And it's 12, so it's the numbers 1 and 2 together. I like this continuity. Innocence. The story goes that Porcupine was in the woods just playing with an old log, right? And Bear came up and was tired and grumpy and annoyed because Porcupine was having so much fun. And Porcupine asked him, "Do you want to play with me? Would you like to be my friend? Play with this old log? Like, don't touch me, because you could hurt me and I could hurt you. But let's play with this thing we're building together." Kind of energy. I like the playfulness. It's just something we've lost and we've forgotten. And let me just say here and now, you are innocent. There is so much in your world that drains your self-esteem. Because it says you're not able to live up to its standard. But you could be playing and be an expert at play. Turns out we don't really learn much unless we're allowed to play. And that's probably one of the biggest difficulties with our present moment, is that we don't have safe spaces where we play together and where we all use our creativity to come up with constructive solutions to our shared problems. I like that the lessons we're going to be learning are about play. Try to keep your sense of humor. I know it's difficult. I know there's lots of big power at play. There's a lot of control issues going on. Don't forget to play. Don't forget your innocent side. Don't forget who you really are outside of all this. And spend some time with that. Especially today if you can. All right, so there's the lessons moving through. And then the past lessons, the ones that we're filtering from this crow energy, this shadow energy. I think we even got this as lessons moving through at the last new moon. This is a feminine energy, perfect for Navratri. I love that it's the number 8, the number of infinity. I think it's very, especially, I was just, the UK police force, misogyny, misogynoir, massive backlash against trans people, mostly trans women, because nobody really seems to care if a woman wants to dress or pretend she's a man. But if you pretend you're a woman because this energy is sacred, lots of people get up in arms, right? And it's pretty obvious to everyone that you can't pretend like half of your population needs to be completely under control of the other half and be in any way balanced or sane. So I think it's pretty obvious that in the lessons of the shadow, we see that we've devalued the feminine, and may Navratri, the 9 nights of the goddess, help to remind us of the lessons we need to learn. Shailapatri's lessons are about courage, bravery, and composure. As these are the lessons of our recent past, may we take them to heart. Another playful energy. Otter is a very playful creature. They have these little turf battles, not unlike moose. They're very spontaneous and fun and live and lissome and moving and beautiful. You know, that's what we've really forgotten in our lost innocence, is that there's beauty in this world, and it's worth protecting. It's worth building upon. What's working for us, the 6th card of the pathway spread, is weaving. This is brilliant. This is another feminine card. The 4 and the 3 of spider being reduced to 7, the number of healing. This is a 7-month. I think this is even a 7-year, I'm not sure. But spider reminds us of Indra's web, the way that everything is related, the way that all of us are connected. Saturn right now is in the sign of the 100 healers, the nakshatra of the 100 healers, Shatabisha. And that nakshatra is all about connections and being connected. So I feel like what's working for us is our connection to each other. And I did express this in the blog post as well. I really feel like the elite group that believes that they're running the world is in for a wake-up call. It's a matter of when, not if. And the spider card helps us to remember that if you pluck one string, the other strings resonate in harmony. So many more people don't want autocracy than the people who do. And that's working for us. I really believe there's a lot of illusion to control. I think control moves through. Animals have always taught me that the person who has the most control is the one who is nearest to the movement, and they have the most information. This card of weaving, the master architect of intelligence, kind of speaks of, this project of intelligence that nature is running. It will not be impeded. No autocrat, no despot has ever been able to stop the push against ignorance and toward wisdom and knowledge. And the interconnected web of biological life on the throne of the earth represents that structure of knowledge that includes all of us and is more than all of us. The noosphere, or the universal unconscious, kind of larger, higher powers at work. It's said that Spider gave us the alphabet and the ability to use words with such facility. I mean, think of it. I make small mouth noises and you understand what I mean. That's bigger than anybody's plans for it. And Spider reminds us that we have that working for us. Beautiful cards. All right. Finally, what's working against us, the thing that we need to reckon with, the part of this shadow energy, loyalty. Now, if you know me at all, you know that dogs are my favorite animal. 14 is also a 7 number. This is perfect. This is an amazing spread. Loyalty is what's working against us. We're loyal to the things that hurt us. If you know dogs, you know that they are kind even to a master that beats them. It's time. It's time to let go of the things that steal your self-esteem, that keep you from building in joy and innocence, that impede the project of intelligence that nature has set in motion. Boy, I don't really think I need to say too much more about that card. Our loyalties work against us. The card at the bottom of the deck, the overwhelming energy of all this, is the Fox, camouflage. This is another card that speaks to the oneness of all things and the ability to move between individuality, Aries, and universal wholeness, Pisces. It's just amazing. This literally represents that movement on the 23rd through Revati Gandanta Point, and how we are facing the conundrum of the subject and the object in nearly everything we do, and at scale, fractally, throughout our present moment. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for this beautiful spread. And I will put things and stuff in the description box so that if you are interested in more of this kind of information, you can have access to it. A lot of it is free right now and will be through the 9 nights of Navratri. If it helps you to pull back and get kind of a cosmic perspective in order to, see larger themes in your life, I'd love to be a part of that for you. So thanks again, and happy new moon.